Pen and Cobb are mute swans. They live together on a small lake in Yorkshire, in northern England. The days are warming, and with the arrival of spring, love is in the air. When they meet at the nest, they bond. They mirror one another, symmetrically bobbing their heads, reaffirming their love. Pen lays her first egg on the 27th of March. Two days after the first, another egg has appeared. Cobb spends his time guarding the nest. He must protect the eggs while Pen is away, and stop the neighbouring geese from commandeering the nest. After a break of 4 days, a third egg appears on the 2nd of April. Pen strains to lay a fourth egg. It arrives wet, though it soon dries out. The subsequent eggs will appear at around 40-hour intervals. The Canada geese visit. The goose is keen to try to get into the nest. Cobb is tied to the nest, so Pen chases the geese away. But they come back again. There is a shortage of nest sites here, as there are only 2 small islands and many geese. The goose seems determined and is very persistent. A 5th egg has been laid. Cobb stands guard and keeps lookout. The geese are nowhere to be seen. Pen now has 6 eggs to care for. Pen sits tight on the eggs, dozing for a while. The 7th and 8th eggs are laid on the 8th and 10th of April. The last egg laid is distinguishable as it is a little dirty. In 14 days she has completed her clutch of 8 eggs. For 35 days from the laying of the last egg, she incubates her eggs day and night. Pen turns her eggs over almost hourly, twisting her neck and sliding her bill beneath the eggs. This way, the rotated embryo, warmed by her brood patch, is heated equally throughout. She has removed feathers from her underneath. This maintains her brood patch that warms the eggs, and provides feathers to line the nest, keeping it soft and insulated. Having turned her eggs, she gets back down on them and broods them. Cobb approaches. He guards and protects her, staying alert to check for any danger. He has patrolled the nest, and his presence gives Pen the all clear that she is safe to take a break. Once each day, she leaves the nest for 30 minutes or so. The 8 eggs are safe and secure, snugly nestled together among the soft down and tiny twigs in the centre of the nest. The sun is shining, and there is a hint of a gentle breeze. Cobb takes over egg caring duties. Droplets of water shower the nest. As he thoroughly preens up and down his neck, drying out his feathers. He stands guard alongside the eggs. White seeds float through the air, coating everything they land upon. Almost giving the appearance of a snow scene. Pen returns from her break. She hurriedly glides through the water, eager to be back. Cobb has a glance at the eggs, and a good look around as he sees her coming. Pen clambers up to join him at the nest, and begins preening. They greet one another enthusiastically, and reaffirm their bond. Feeling clean and refreshed, she continues to brood the eggs. Cobb looks for sticks as he leaves. He is a little overambitious in his choice. He clumsily disembarks from the nest with a splash. Pen and Cobb work together as a partnership. Cobb gathers nesting material from the surrounding area, while Pen is more concerned with the intricacies of the nest. Their nest is exceptionally large, at 2.5 meters across and 60 centimeters deep. Pen turns her eggs repeatedly as she settles back into the nest. Relentlessly she carries on, devoting all her effort to caring for the precious eggs. Sometimes balancing one egg on top of the others, to gently roll back down again. Cobb is still working hard. He collects as much vegetative matter as he can. Safely sitting on the eggs, Pen indicates that he is free to depart. Off he goes, all the while continuing to gather as he leaves. Each pleasantly occupied, they make a great team. Pen searches around the outside of the nest, looking for tiny twigs to line the middle close to the eggs. She is always careful to keep a watchful eye for any potential danger. Pen relaxes and goes to sleep. It's an idyllic scene. Cobb reappears. "35 days is a long time to wait for the eggs to hatch. But they must continue to be patient. Swans are well known for their strong relationships. And though it may not be quite true that all swans mate for life, these two clearly have a very strong attachment. Cobb is very considerate and attentive. Offering Pen the chance to leave the nest. But she isn't interested in taking a break just now. So he goes on his way again. Pen gets up to see to the eggs and turn them. Double checking that all of the eggs are safely under her, Pen sits back down on the eggs. She keeps an eye out once more. Having a good look around, she sees something. But it's not too concerning, as it's just a goose passing by. Pen gets up to leave the nest again. As she prepares to go, she tidies up the nest lining. Giving the eggs a cursory covering of down, feathers and twigs. She leaves the eggs, taking the opportunity to maintain the nest as she goes. Moving sticks around the outside of the nest, helping to build it up, make any repairs and keep its circular structure. She plunges into the water and then calls to the cygnets in the eggs. She has sensed that they are about to hatch. She calls to them again, just as she will do once they have hatched. And she continues to call them repeatedly as she leaves. The eggs are not left alone, as Cobb is back on duty again. The eggs have various marks and scratches on their shells, acquired over the weeks in the nest. Before long, Pen is back. She settles on the eggs. Cobb takes closer order. He is a devoted father-to-be. Perhaps he too has sensed that the eggs are close to hatching. Both Pen and Cobb seem to be rather excited about their pending new arrivals. Cobb has his turn at moving sticks around. He never misses a chance to do a little nest maintenance. Then off he goes, dropping into the water, still moving nesting material. There's no wonder the nest is so big. Each time she gets up to turn the eggs, she revolves around a quarter of the way around the nest. Over time, she goes round and round, thereby maintaining her circular nest. She moves the nest lining either side of her neck, around her body, keeping it close. The last laid egg gets a turn. She preens her underfeathers to keep them pristine. And as she gets up, she reveals that the eggs have started to hatch. She continues to turn the eggs regularly, even as they hatch, helping the cygnets swivel inside as they work their way around in a circular motion. A little piece of the shell is missing. This is just the beginning. From start to finish, it takes up to 24 hours for a single egg to hatch, and up to 2 days for the clutch to hatch. Pen keeps watch, having a good look around, and when all is clear, she rests when she gets the chance. She turns the eggs over and over again, gently sliding her bill beneath each one. Once the shell is being chipped away, the next step will be to try to punch a hole in the membrane. But that could take some time. There is a long way to go yet. The pattern of her routine repeats. Egg duties, keeping watch, and resting. Cobb and Penn's weeks of diligence and dedication are now about to be rewarded. As the sun sets over the reserve and night falls, the egg-bound cygnets have begun their escape. The next morning, on the 15th of May, the weather is favourable. It's another sunny day. Dad is just where he should be, waiting patiently next to the nest. While Mum is taking a nap. Dad satisfies himself that all is well, and then leaves. A cygnet has hatched. It looks weary and exhausted. It is taking a well-earned rest after all of its exertions the night before. Once Mum gets up, she reveals that 3 of the eggs have hatched through the night. Mum continues to attend to the 5 remaining eggs. Some of them have small cracks, and it appears that more are yet to hatch. Soft down floats around as she preens her feathers, while the newborns form their first view of the world. They must imprint on their mother, so that later when she calls, they come to her. The 5 eggs are nestled together under her warm centre, with the cygnets split on either side under her wings. The young ones are sheltered and out of harm's way under there. In between bouts of activity, she catches up on some well-deserved sleep. After a while, there is another flurry of animation. Mum greets one of the cygnets. The cygnets are looking a little more active now, eager to get out and explore. They are hidden under her wings, snuggling together, keeping safe and warm. Dad is on patrol, watching and protecting, staying vigilant and attentive. He is needed now more than ever. It is a very vulnerable time for the emerging youngsters. He makes sure that they are kept out of danger. Pen preens her feathers, and the cygnets take in their new surroundings. One of the cygnets is a little shaken. The cygnets are slowly gathering their strength. Huddling together as they dry out so as not to get chilled. They still have a grey egg tooth on the end of their black bill that has helped them to peck through their shells. The cygnets have exerted themselves enough for now. Ready for a much-needed rest, they hunker down under her wing. They have found a peaceful spot, well away from people and dogs. Being surrounded by water also protects them from ground predators, such as foxes, which would be vulnerable to being drowned by a defensive swan when in the water. The 3 cygnets cuddle up to her together, at the front of her wing. As she perseveres with incubating the eggs, hatching is a slow process. There are still 5 eggs left. Another of the eggs is starting to hatch, and the last egg laid is also beginning to crack. That one will likely be the last to hatch. After several hours of endeavour, a crack has developed in one of the eggs into a small beak-sized hole. She vigorously preens her down feathers, while a nervous cygnet looking a little bamboozled takes cover below. Mum carefully slides her bill under the hatching eggs once again. The cygnet in this egg still has a long way to go. The eggshell has only just begun to crack. As Mum sits back down, a cygnet almost gets a little squashed. One snuggles up to her, repeatedly trying to find a way in, looking for warmth and safety. They sit out by her side, feeling the glow of her body heat and enjoying the bright sunshine. The cygnet in this egg has been busy. The hole has really opened up and is getting quite large. It won't be long until this one hatches. They investigate everything they encounter. One cygnet gets its bill stuck on the end of a twig. With doggedness and determination, it finally breaks free. Another dices with mild peril, pecking at a twig. Though mercifully it doesn't get its bill stuck. Mum makes to preen herself, but gets a little carried away. Dad shows up again, drifting in, scouting for any possible threats, safeguarding and generally checking that all is well. Mum is sleeping. Dad is content that everything is satisfactory, so after a last look around, he turns and goes away again. An inquiring cygnet expresses an interest in a hatching egg. Pecking at breaking eggshell is instinctive. The cygnets are looking quite lively. They impulsively peck everything they see, inspecting and examining twigs and nesting material. Mum briskly takes care of her feathers. The last egg laid only has small cracks in its shell. It still has a long way to go. The 3 cygnets have rested and dried out. And there is a distinct difference in their stage of development compared to their egg-bound siblings who are taking their time. The cygnets are active and busy. And enjoying their newfound freedom. Mum perseveres with tending to the laggard eggs. During the time that the 3 cygnets have been adjusting to their new surroundings, the 4th cygnet has worked its way round its shell and is now well on its way. One of the cygnets is getting a little bolder and ventures around the nest. Everyone takes a well-earned rest. Mum sits contentedly among the willow trees. The snow-like seeds keep falling, blanketing the water, maintaining the illusion of snow, looking like a real-life fairy tale. Mum places her bill into the breaking egg and helps it on its way. She gives it several friendly taps on the head for good measure. and then the last laid egg is also rotated once more. Several hours later than its siblings, with a little nudge from Mum, the fourth cygnet hatches out. Born weak, wet and exhausted, it is met enthusiastically by Mum. It slowly finds its feet and awkwardly maneuvers itself to the centre of the warmth of Mum. The cygnets look contented as they relax, laze and convalesce. They are comfortable and at peace next to Mum. Mum preens her feathers. A cygnet gets a close-up view and a covering of down. She goes through her wing feathers very thoroughly to keep them clean. The newborn cygnet settles into family life. It shivers as its feathers are still wet. Mum has a metal ring on her leg. This has an identification number and the address for the British Trust for Ornithology. Immersed in the centre of proceedings, it is bedding in well. The tired and weary young one has a lie down and goes to sleep. Then, having rested for a good while, it's begun to dry out and is ready to join its older siblings. It's been a long day. Mum is fatigued and exhausted. The four cygnets are safe and well, and gathering strength. And there are more yet to come. As the sun sets on a glorious day, and the night falls once more, 4 out of the 8 eggs have hatched. The miracle of new life is working its magic. A new day, the 16th of May. Another good day of weather. The sun is shining again. Mum is alert, calling to her brood, and is signalling that she is ready to leave the nest. She twists her neck to have a good look around, and calls to them again. She has a last preen of her feathers and looks up once more. As Dad arrives to help with the childcare. The 4 cygnets of yesterday have been joined by 2 more overnight. There are now 6 strong, healthy cygnets, with 2 eggs remaining. She titivates around the nest, tinkering with the soft bedding material, while the young ones huddle together. The older cygnets have had a day at the nest, so Mum calls them to the water for the first time. They stubbornly refuse to go, as they are not yet ready. They look lively and well. They are brimming with health and vitality. Waddling around, inspecting, and pecking everything that they can find, though they don't travel far from one another. One daringly ventures to the edge of the nest, but thinks better of it and turns back to the safety of the others. One cygnet is slightly damp. That one must have been the last to hatch, and it can't have been hatched for very long. They retreat as Mum returns to the nest. She stands by them and preens her feathers. The youngsters shuffle around, huddling together to keep warm. With good reason, they are a little wary of Mum's large, cumbersome, bumbling feet. And they have to keep a close eye on her as she approaches them. As Mum steps around the nest, her big feet are quite clumsy, and she has a tendency to accidentally tread on them. The cygnets must look out for themselves. Mum perseveres with incubating the last 2 eggs. She gets up again and gives them several warnings that she is on the move, so they have time to get out of the way as she drops on them. They scramble for safety and form a queue at the front of Mum. They jockey for position to get under her wing. They only play out for a short while, as they soon chill. Then they snuggle up together, getting warm again. Settling down in line in the comfort of her closing wing. It's time for everyone to go to sleep and have a nice long deserved rest. She preens her neck and blissfully rubs the back of her head and neck. The cygnets come out from underneath her. Mum resumes with her thorough preen, first beginning with the interior of her wing, and then moving on to her back feathers. The family has a little downtime. They hobble and waddle about the nest. Looking for things to try to eat. They're still quite unsteady on their feet, and more stable when sitting down. In a frenzy of activity, they jostle for position. As Mum preens assiduously under her wing again. And briefly her outer wing too. After a little more preening, she gets up and stretches her wings once more. She looks to be getting ready to leave again. The cygnets are more alert now. They have had a little more time to gain strength. Mum thinks that they could be ready for adventure. A couple of hours since her first abandoned attempt, she prepares to leave the nest. She diligently does as much nest maintenance as she can along the way. Dad meanders in, leisurely making his way to the nest. To join the recent additions to his family. Mum takes a moment to check that all is clear, then calls to them. As Mum leaves, a cygnet pursues in a rush, hurling itself over the side of the nest and following her into the water. The other 5 remain at the nest. They are still not yet interested in going for a swim. Mum invites them to the water, calling to them. She dabbles her bill in the water, making a splashing sound, to encourage them some more. Mum calls them to the water again. Her persistence almost does the trick. In a moment of haste, a second cygnet takes a tumble. But has second thoughts about it, deciding that it may have made a mistake, and before long comes back again, to the cosy comfort of its siblings. The single cygnet goes for a mini adventure of its own. The others show only a modicum of interest and decide to stay put. So Mum and Dad don't go very far at all and return to them. A second one hesitantly goes for it, tumbling down to join the first one, which is enjoying itself, dabbling its bill and drinking in the water. Mum takes the hint that they don't want to go and comes back to the nest. There are now 2 cygnets at the water's edge, enjoying their escapade under the supervision of Dad. Getting back up again is harder than it looks. One somersaults backwards, but with determination and a little more composure, it scrambles its way up, back to the safety of the nest. The other is left alone at the bottom, with Dad looking on dutifully, still in close attendance. The one at the nest is having a bit of difficulty finding its way in. After a touch of trial and error, it navigates through to nestle under her wing. The lonesome one embarks on the long route round. Mum looks around, keeping an attentive eye on it, and gives it some encouragement to come back. Still marooned at the base of the nest, daunted by the steepness, it is unsure of the best route. It is none too keen on the climb to the top, going back and forth around the nest, looking for an easier path. It takes a break for a moment. After some deliberations, it goes back round to the other side to where it looked before. It finds a route through the branches. While the others are safely with Mum, it makes its journey back. Mum is now unconcerned and able to relax. All of them are securely back at the nest. The cygnets tumble out of her wing as Mum continues to attend to the 2 remaining eggs. A cygnet climbs aboard Mum's back. It comes face to face with Mum, who decides to preen and dislodges it. It could have landed alongside her, or it could have fallen down the back of the nest, out of sight. Certainly one of them has, and has ended up in the water. The cygnet makes for home, navigating its way through the obstacles to arrive back with the others. The youngsters are a handful as they play around Mum, gathering their strength with energetic bouts of activity, followed by a lull. The family has a siesta. After dozing for a while, they wake up again. While Mum preens her feathers, they sit back and make themselves at home. One very happy and contented family. They may be ready to try another venture. Mum prepares to leave the nest again. One sits away from the others, closer to the nest's edge. It has a good view of the water. Mum goes to the side of the nest and has a look around, checking that the coast is clear. The cygnets are comfortable and settled, happily ensconced in the nest. Mum has a last preen. Then before you know it, she is in the water. The boldest cygnet is straight in with her, and is all for the experience. But they can't go far as they have to come back to the others. Three of them have ventured down the side of the nest. but still are looking none too keen on the water, while two of them are stubbornly refusing to leave at all. At least one of them likes the water, and appears to be enjoying itself as it gets a shower from Mum. Mum returns to the top of the nest. The cygnets scramble to follow her, and finding that getting a firm foothold isn't so easy, five of them make it back relatively straightforwardly. But for the last one, the journey back is arduous. Eventually, they are all home to the refuge of the nest. One of them takes its place on her back again. Mum fumblingly gets to her feet, and amazingly the cygnet goes for a ride. Astonishingly, the cygnet stays in position, sitting tight for the whole time. Following this adventure, having begun to slip slightly, it is pulled up with a tug of its bill. Mum affectionately kisses her baby, then rather less affectionately gives it a gentle nudge off. The cygnets sit out for a while, until they start to feel the cold. Then jostling to take refuge under her wing, or even better than that, above her wing. It's time for yet another nap. Babies need lots of frequent sleeps, and tire very easily. Mum preens her feathers, while the nest is bathed in dappled light, formed by the shadows of the willow trees being blown around in the gentle breeze. The family sits harmoniously in the diminishing sun. The 6 cygnets have gathered their strength with a day at the nest. As the sun sets on another remarkable day, we can only marvel and wonder at all that we have witnessed. The next morning, the 17th of May, a blue sky and another good day. After another day's rest, all 6 are finally ready to overcome their fears and go for a swim. Enthusiastically throwing themselves with abandon. cascading down one after another. They each take to the water. The newly formed family go for their first adventure. They return from their trip, having had an exhausting excursion. Mum goes first, wagging her tail feathers. A cygnet clambers up after her to the top of the nest. But the other 5 are enjoying themselves too much. Belatedly, the others make the journey back. Hurdling any obstructions in their way. They are still unsteady on their feet. The last one is briefly left behind. It races to catch up to join the others. A cygnet shivers, and in a blind panic, flaps its leg aimlessly in the air as it is stuck over a stick. But eventually its foot finds a purchase, and it goes over the barrier. She took them for a long journey to tire them out. All is tranquil and serene, as a Canada goose quietly meanders through the willow trees, strolling on by at a prudent distance from the nest. Mum may be catching up on some well-earned sleep, but the sound of a coot wakes her up. The nervous goose hurriedly makes its way this time, as it is a little too close to Mother Swan for comfort. Having had a good sleep, everyone is feeling awake and refreshed. The cygnets are more lively now. They are boisterous and agitated, informing Mum that they are seeking another adventure. Mum proceeds to leave, gathering sticks and taking care of the nest, seeing to its regular upkeep. picking up the untidy and loose sticks and placing them to the side. Moving any obstacles out of the way, she helps to clear a path for them to go down the nest to the water. Mum goes first. Ungainly belly flopping down, she plunges in. Having settled into a routine, the cygnets know the drill, and are a little more enthusiastic to go to the water now. They're a bit more coordinated than they were, and in the main, manage to stay relatively upright for once. They head back out onto the lake. On their travels, Mum leads the way, with the cygnets following in close attendance. When she calls, the cygnets keep close to her. As they come and go, the time spent at the nest shortens with each visit, and the time away from the nest increases. Two eggs remain in the nest. They have failed to hatch. Their latest adventure over, they gather themselves together and go back to the nest. They are all safely back at the nest, in the familiar comfort of home. For over 7 weeks, Pen and Cobb dedicated themselves, making and caring for their home in the willow tree, successfully nesting, hatching, and nurturing their newly formed family. The young ones will continue being guided and cared for by their parents for the next few months. As they sleep, they can dream sweet dreams.